I think we should ask ourselves if alt season is started now or not. And I want to share how I am preparing because if it hasn't started yet, then it's going to start very soon. And this is the last chance we get to somewhat prepare for a slightly good price on most of the altcoins. But you are definitely not early anymore, but there's some good money to be made. So welcome to the Fomo Factory. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. Let's get into the content. So what's interesting here is that Bitcoin has a correction. And we spoke about this like, yeah, I think everybody spoke about the fact that 100K would be a big resistance level. And in one of my latest videos and the video before that, I kind of combined that with saying like, guys, look, we are now at the big support level for the USDT dominance. And every time we got to that level, it resulted into a nasty correction for the crypto market. Now, it happens to be that we bounce exactly off of this level. So this trend line is still intact. So far, we haven't seen much yet. So it looks like we are still in the middle of the correction because let's start with the potential worst case scenario, okay? Because this trend line, we spoke about it, and I know a lot of people said like, this time we're gonna break it. Obviously, we didn't. And I also want to discuss like, hey, what could happen right here, right? So before I'm gonna get into how I prepare for alt season, etc., let's take a look like, is this crash actually over right now? Or is it just getting started? As you can see, we bounced off of it in the last week or we went to it last week and now we're bouncing off of it this week, right? So this is just like one green weekly candle for the USDT dominance, which brings the crypto market down. Now, it could, of course, be that we are going to do something like this, for example, where we bounce off of it and basically grind up, where the whole crypto market is taking a fat, nasty correction. What's also possible is that we do something like this, right? We went to the lower line, we now bounce off of it, so the crypto market corrects, then it goes down again, so crypto gets a little relief, and basically we hover around this line. And in the meantime, here is where the altcoin market, let's talk about that, as nobody cares about Bitcoin at this stage of the market, I hope. This is where the altcoin market in the meantime went up. And then when the USDT dominance really went up hard, that's where the altcoin market found a good correction. But that's just back to the levels where we came from, basically, right? So that's also a possibility that the altcoin market is now going up, that the USDT dominance goes sideways, and at a certain point it will have a good bounce, and that's basically where the altcoin dominant or the altcoin market goes back to kind of where we were or where we are right now. So, you know, if it is going to take us a lot lower from this point, or that we go up first and then back to this point, I don't know. All I know is at a certain point we will have one fat nasty correction, and it's not even a correction anymore. It's more like really a crash, because yeah, that's simply just what happens every time we get to this trend line, and it's now playing out in a very small way again. And this is already where we have seen Bitcoin going from 99.6K to the lows of so far this week was 90.7, so a 9,000 red candle in a week, right? And it sounds like a lot. Then again, that's 10%, right? Yeah, let's try to find a bull market where we did not have like multiple 20% plus corrections for Bitcoin. So we see now a 90K or a 9K correction. Yeah, the 20, 30, that's not unheard of, right? It at this level at least. So it sounds like a lot, but again, it's okay. So let's see what the market does when it comes to that. I think that, you know, you either could like make sure that you have some cash by taking some profits on your way up and you can buy it back lower. That's kind of what I'm doing, but I'm not trading it too active. You could also be like, you know, corrections, part of the game, fuck it, just keep going, and in a year we will be higher than where we are right now. I think that that's the way that gets you less wrecked, actually, that you will be fine. Yeah, if you can stomach some temporary losses in the meantime, but that's all part of the game, right? You should not be in crypto if you are not willing to accept that it could also go down. But what's interesting right now, actually, is that we see Bitcoin down with 4.9% on the week. And that's okay. That's not bad. However, if you look at the altcoin market, what we have usually seen is that if Bitcoin goes down 5%, you see the altcoin market go down 10, 15%. However, Bitcoin down 5%, the altcoin market so far is down 3%, right? So it looks like we spoke about the rotation already on the channel, right? Like we've seen it in the market. It's now pretty obvious. Bitcoin was running, blasting through all-time highs. Then we saw these high caps kind of go up really hard, actually. We had Axie, we had Mana, we had Cent, we had XLM, XRP, Cardano, all these coins that you feel like, who is investing in those, right? Well, a lot of people apparently, because they had massive gains. Also, kind of because they got wrecked way harder than most of the other altcoins, of course, but still, it was pretty explosive. So the rotation in crypto is already kind of happening. Now, what's also part of the rotation is, of course, that altcoins at a certain point collectively will outperform Bitcoin, and that we will see an alt season. That's an alt season, right? Where altcoins do better than Bitcoin. Yeah, we have seen Bitcoin go down and altcoins go down less. So altcoins are already outperforming Bitcoin, but not a lot, right? So if I would say in this video, like, hey, it could be that alt season started, I also want to give the disclaimer, it's maybe a little too soon to say, right? Because we don't know. I can keep screaming it, and at a certain point I will be right. That's not the way to do it. But I do want to consider the possibility that this is now, in fact, time for it. So let's take a look at that. Because if you look at others, Bitcoin, so the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, this is showing like, hey, are altcoins outperforming Bitcoin? Then it is alt season, right? Now, what's funny to me, but I'm a nerd, is that every single time we went to this trend line, that was around the end of the halving year, beginning post-halving year, right? So end 2016, beginning 2017, and we went into a parabolic alt season. Here, it happens to be exactly at this line, exactly at the end of 2020, beginning 2021. And wouldn't you know, now exactly at this line again, at the end of 2024 and, close to the beginning of 2025. So, you cannot call this a coincidence or anything. Crypto has shown for a decade already, 1.5 decade, that it is cyclical. And it happens to play out now again, right? So I think that if you are now still like saying like, well, no, it's different, or this time this won't happen, or be a little careful with thinking that, because the market until the day of today is showing that it's not different, and that can go on for another year, of course. I mean, it has been doing that for like 15 years already, right? So what we can expect is that altcoins bounce around this trend line right here, right? And at a certain point in Q1, and it's what I'm going to show you, go up really hard. And later in this video, I'll try to make it too long, I will show you how I am preparing literally right now, because this is the golden moment right here. So altcoins on their Bitcoin pair this month so far have gone up 17%, right? Yeah. So if you ask like, hey, is alt season started? Look, again, alt season is where altcoins outperform Bitcoin. Look, in this month, they went up 17% as well. It wasn't alt season, right? So maybe it's too soon to call. We can only actually tell if there's an alt season in hindsight. You cannot tell it up front or at the beginning of it, right? But what's possible, of course, is like what we did right here as well. We went to the trend line and then we bounced off it a little bit. 20% pump. It looks a lot smaller than here, of course, but if you zoom in, this was a way bigger candle actually. With a 20% pump, we went kind of to the downside of this trend line again, but overall that month we had another 6% pump, and then we really started, this candle, you cannot say like, oh, this is just a fake. That was an obvious sign that alt season was in full glory, actually. So it looks like we're now kind of here. Maybe it started, but yeah, maybe we have to wait a little longer. But it's interesting. We have a green candle right now. The month before it was red, right? We have a green candle right now. The month before it was red. So we might start that pattern right now. And what I showed you in, I think it was one of the last videos. Look, if you hold on to the fact that crypto is cyclical, then this chart is going to make you very happy if you hold altcoins, because if, as you can see, the altcoin dominance is showing that it's time right now. This pattern is super bullish right here. We now finally, we went all the way down this month to the lower side of this trend line. And it turned out so far, but we have a couple days to go this month, but it turned out, or this quarter actually, it turned out for now to be green, right? So we went to the trend line, we confirmed that this pattern is still intact. That's super important. Like if we went down and we completely broke it, it could still be intact, but this is more confirmation like, hey, this is not here for no reason, right? Yeah, and this thing going up is Altseason. So the Altseason writings are getting more and more clear on the wall all around me. And this is super bullish for Q1, actually. Because if you look, this is the quarter chart. If you look like, hey, when did altcoins really started to outperform in this stage of the cycle? Well, you can see that this is where Altseason started. This was the first quarter of 2017. In the next cycle, where's that big green candle? Obviously here, right? It happens to be first quarter 2021. It's again, also this is screaming cyclicality. How do you call that? I don't know. Like the video. I have no clue, man. Seasonality, whatever. So, based on that, combined with a lot of other things, of course, but based on this, on top of that, then yeah, Q1 2025 is going to be crazy, right? Like this was a candle, right? A closure, right? Not even bottom to top, but a closure of 187%. This one was 90%. That's crazy. That's an insane average, right? 180, or let's say 190 plus 90 is 280, divide that by 2 is 140. That's the average, right? So if we should see 140 or so, then it would not be unreal if we end up next quarter being sitting really high, right? And the smallest moves on this chart mean a lot of gains on your altcoins, actually on the dollar pair, because this is how much altcoins are dominating the crypto space, right? But everything in the crypto space. But look how much money there is right now in the crypto space. This is at all-time highs. So if altcoins take a little piece of that, then on the dollar pair they fly already. And that's kind of what we saw in the example that I gave a couple of times with XRP, but you could say the same for Cardano or whatever. Like, they didn't do much on the Bitcoin pair. XRP is not necessarily doing well. Cardano is not necessarily doing well. People that like that coin, they feel like, wow, it's doing so great. It's not doing great. Sorry to be negative or anything, but they are not actually doing great. If you look at XRP on its Bitcoin pair, yeah, how can you call this great? Like this, look how much down it is. It had one little pump right here. That's it. Right? It's not much, but that's on its Bitcoin pair, right? And because Bitcoin is 90, 100K, it makes XRP on the dollar pair go up a lot, right? So this move that you saw on XRP, for example, is great, but it's not because of XRP. This is because of Bitcoin. So these moves also will apply to all the altcoins, basically, as long as Bitcoin is sitting at these levels and altcoins outperform Bitcoin. Now we see it right now, like I just showed you, that altcoins on the Bitcoin pair, look, they are now sitting at this trend line. If you look at it on the weekly, they are now finally bouncing off of it right here. And if you look at others' dominance, again, this also showed like, hey, this thing here is fully intact and we have a long way to go. And Q1, you know, if you look at the cycle, is the most explosive period for altcoins on the Bitcoin pair. So if the cycle repeats, then within the next 4 months, altcoins could go like 10x on the dollar pair, actually, right? And that's not like, again, that's not Moonboy talk or anything. But with a 90K Bitcoin, we don't need a lot, actually. The money is already there. So that's quite sick. So yeah, no, we already see it, like Bitcoin taking a good hit, and that's very normal, right? And altcoins, they're actually holding up pretty well. And what's the only thing for altcoins right now is, look, it's sitting at some kind of a double top right here. And we need to break that, right? But then again, if you look at Bitcoin, how long that was sitting at a double top, right? Eventually it broke as well. If you look at the total crypto market, it kind of already broke right away, but that's just more because Bitcoin is included in there and Bitcoin was already way higher, right? So the writing for me is on the wall that altcoins are knocking on the door, and the money is flowing in there already. Right, and it's now your job to kind of make sure that you are in the altcoins where the money is flowing to next. And I gave my opinions about that, my predictions, whatever. Launchpads, these are the obvious ones to me. Gaming, AI, and maybe some meme coins. There will be some cold meme coins that will do well. But then again, that's also what we always see in the market. You see money flowing from Bitcoin into high caps, low caps, but you also see money from the temporary hype flowing into the high and low caps. And that's also what we are seeing. Because again, if you look at the week, you have these dinosaur coins, right? Stellar, Sand, TS quite newer, I think, but Phantom, Lido, Polkadot, Algo, XRP, etc., VeChain, Uniswap, they're all doing well. And if you go to the lower side of this list, yeah, there you again see that meme coins are getting kind of wrecked, right? Again, like Popcat, Bank, Floki, Pepe, Doc, we've had, and there were more, but they already got kicked out of the top 100, like Squirrel, whatever, or Peanut, whatever that thing's called, right? Like, I noticed that there was a lot of hype about meme coins, of course, lately, and that's very understandable. But I do think also that a lot of people in crypto, they see the hype, they either look at it or they are in it and making some money with it, and they think that that's what's gonna last forever. And you get these meme coin super cycle callers, and everybody listens to Morad right now, right? And I think that these people are getting completely wrecked, because that's just simply not how crypto moves, right? And I gave my theory before. The altcoin market was not doing much, right? But it was easy for people to get into meme coins or even create meme coins. So people were like, okay, let me get into meme coins, let me gamble a little bit, right? And that made everybody talk about meme coins. Solana happened to be a chain that fully like kind of sent it off, actually. But now that you'll notice that the rest of the altcoin market is pumping, like I said, people don't need to gamble anymore, because hey, the rest of the market is pumping as well, right? Why would you take more risk on meme coins if you can get the same, or in this case now, more rewards with the utility coins? And I think, I'm not saying that meme coins will die. Like, there will always be a handful of meme coins that will do fine, and some low caps that pop off all of a sudden, of course. But I think that the raging hype is now over. And I got a lot of shit for that first as well, when I said, like, hey guys, this meme coin thing is not sustainable. Yeah, for the last couple of weeks, it is already kind of showing that it is cooling off. And maybe it's a period. Maybe, we will get it once again. But I honestly, from my experience, hypes in crypto, they just simply don't last forever. Not everybody. People like utility. They like technology. That's what crypto is meant for. Without this technology, these meme coins wouldn't exist in the first place, right? It makes people feel a lot safer as well. And there is a lot of cool stuff. And no, not every utility coin actually offers utility. I know that. But a lot of them do as well. And at the end of the day, people like that more, actually. And I don't think meme coins are going to completely die. But I do think you should be very careful if you are more than 10-20% allocated in meme coins in your portfolio, because I get it, once the hype is going on, it's nice and it's gonna live forever, etc., etc. But that's just simply at the end of the cycle never the case with these kind of things. So be a little careful with that. And I had a bag of meme coins. I'm traded it at the top of the hype, luckily, and I took a lot of profits out. What I'm doing, I'm putting that money in not in new meme coins or whatever. I'm putting it into where I think the money is flowing next, right? So I'm not putting it in XRP or Cardano or whatever. These high caps, they are already moving right now as well, and that might go on for a little while. This is the chart that only shows like the 6 high caps in the top 10 or whatever, and they make up for more market cap, right? 379 billion than the rest of the altcoin market, which is 327 billion, right? So a lot of money from these high caps is about to flow into the low caps at a certain point. Is this run already over? It could be. It is at least now cooling off pretty decently. And again, if you take a look, the low caps, actually, well, low caps, not low caps, but everything outside of the top 10 in the top 125 is down 3% on the week. While if you look at the high caps, they're down 5.5% on the week, right? And that's understandable. They had a way hard pump. So they have to correct a little harder as well. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I love seeing this though. The Bitcoin dominance is struggling right here. And if you look on this chart on its own, right, just this move, you would be like, yeah, okay, but it struggles right here just as it struggled here or here or here, right? Like that's nothing special. Yes. But again, if you combine everything, all the different charts that say the same thing, Altseason is near, right? You have to be completely blind if you're not seeing it right now, right? If you combine that with the fact that we are now also entering the period in the cycle where it always starts, if you compare that with the fact that the Bitcoin dominance is sitting at a big resistance level, and if you combine that with the fact that the Bitcoin dominance last cycle got rejected at the 618, and if you look where we got rejected right now, we went a little above it, but overall, we're kind of getting rejected around that 618 again. I feel like there is a serious consideration that the Bitcoin dominance is topping out right here. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying I'm certain of that. Like in a couple of weeks, if it goes higher, yeah, it's not that I just said it like it topped out. I don't know. But I am saying like it is a little unwise if you just assume, despite all of this, that the Bitcoin dominance just will keep on going up, right? And that is kind of, well, this is not saying that it will be alt season, but it kind of is also. Like, what do I mean? Bitcoin dominance going down usually always happen during alt season, but Bitcoin dominance going down doesn't mean alt season. But because in theory, if people put all their money from Bitcoin into USDT, yeah, the Bitcoin dominance also goes down, but altcoins don't benefit from that, right? But usually that's not really what happens. So what you want to see is the others' dominance, altcoin dominance, go up, and that's what we are seeing right now. And that's so far looking fantastic. And this, I'm leaving this line in for I don't know how long already. This is my outlook, give or take, that the altcoin dominance goes up until maybe April, May next year, right? Then we get a short summer lull like we kind of always do, that it goes down, and then we get the second leg where the big alt season continues in the second half of 2025, basically. But this is already April, kind of where I'm taking a lot of money out of the crypto market because hey, I'm pretty convinced that top end of next year that's the most likely outcome. But I'm not betting all my money on it, of course, right? So how am I preparing at the moment? Well, again, the meme coin money that I made, I'm putting that into the things where I think it's going to flow next. AI, mainly, agent tokens, right? These AI agents. I think that's really a big thing, the coming cycle. That could be explosive. I'm putting it into gaming. Not the individual games yet, because that's too low cap and that's too far away in the cycle, in my opinion. That will come later. But in the Ronins, right, the Beams, the AVAX, these kind of things. And I'm putting it into launchpads, as launchpads are like, again, that's for me the biggest no-brainer. You don't have to agree with me, but that's just simply like, I have multiple reasons why I think that, and I gave my explanation in one of the last videos, by the way. But they already showed like, hey, in this market, if it goes up, we outperform, right? And that's one of the reasons, other than the fact that if people make money, they want to gamble on new launches, right? They want to be early. How can you be early in a market where everything is up already? By participating in IDOs. Very simple. So that's what I've been doing lately. I'm now also preparing with the cash bag that I have, because I've been taking some profits in the market. I don't know, for some reason usually I'm not lucky, but in this market so far, I always take profits at the exact top and I buy back at the bottom, and took profits at the exact top again. So far going very well. Not saying that that's pure skill. It's also a little luck, I think, though. But so far, so good. And that money, like I said in the last live stream, if things go up, you want to be prepared, right? So I'm leaving more than enough crypto in case everything goes up. But in case we get a nasty fat ass correction, because, hey, this chart is not here for no reason, that USDT dominance, I'm making sure that I'm prepared for that as well, right? And even if it goes sideways, I'm running my nodes. I have my IDO sales, right? I make sure that I have a passive income. Now I'm going big on Launchpads and their pre-sales, because it's safe to invest there, right? They have refund policies, so it's pretty safe. And it's now the golden moment in the market, actually. Because most people are not convinced about Launchpads yet. And therefore, not a lot of people participate in these launches. So the people that do participate get a higher allocation. And we get that allocation vested during the bull market. So this is the exact golden moment to do that, actually. If you are in the Alpha Factory, a lot of people joined, like, that's fantastic. I see a lot of new people coming in. We have a full list right there in that private Discord where we show exactly which launchpad, which project is going to release, when you have to register, etc., etc. So you have a perfect overview of that. It's helping me a lot, because I have quite some ADHD and my overview is terrible. So I don't miss any sale, actually. And I put a couple of K in some things with Seedify, with Engine Starter, with ChainGPT, right? And they did quite fantastic, actually. And that money that I make, I can use again to put it in the market to just DCA a little bit when the prices are low. So I'm not going to go over the exact coins that I'm buying right now, because at the moment I am not really buying specific coins. Because, yeah, like I said, Bitcoin is taking a hit, but the altcoin market isn't really, right? If you look at Condex, is a decent holding that I have, doing pretty well. It broke out of this range right here, more than a 2x so far. But I still think it's quite low, and I don't know. I'm not taking profits out of it, but I also feel like, yeah, it is 2x out of its range, right? So I'm not buying more at this specific moment. OXO just had a pretty decent pump way above my entry price, so I took a little profit on that. Prime is now finally leaving this whole area, but like, a lot of coins are kind of in nowhere land for me. Like, they're in the middle. They are not in my buy zone at the moment, but they are also far from where I would sell them. So I think we now also just enter the stage in the market where doing nothing is fine, right? If you do okay, you should be in profit right now, right? But not much. So, yeah, what you going to do? Are you going to take a 30% profit, or are you going to buy when things are 30% up? You can also wait. If it goes down again, then you can buy a little more. And if it goes up again, then you can talk about profits. I want to give one call that I gave in the Alpha Factory a couple of days ago. That was a pretty decent call, actually. So let me show you this. I said, it's here, like, let me show you. 24th of November, I said, if you have AVAX, it might be a good trade to put it into some Trader Joe. That's the leading DEX on AVAX. It was at 1,094 Satoshis right here. And you can just compare these pairs, right? So you can just fill in Joe USD, divided by AVAX USD, and you can hit enter, and there you have the pair. And it didn't moon or anything, right? But it's already here. The call was given, actually here, right? And it's now up here. So I never sold a coin. I never like took profits in cash. I never risk missing out. I just put it somewhere where I thought that it would make more money. And now Joe is pumping a little harder than AVAX, right? And that's fine. I'm staking my Joe, so I'm making some money on there. So that's also what you can do, shuffle. And you can pair any coin with each other, right? So if you want to buy Tau, for example, I'm just calling something Tau, you type in Tau USD, and you feel like, hey, I have Solana, which I have profits on. Let me see how Tau does against Solana. Well, divided by Solana USD, and you can see it right here, right? How is Tau doing against Solana? Well, it's not mooning, but it is also not weak, right? It is kind of in an uptrend. So if it gets back down here, maybe it's good to convert some Solana into Tau, right? Like that's how you can make more out of your portfolio without necessarily buying, selling, having the risk of missing out, whatever. I think that this is really important stuff. So I will be a lot more active this week. I try to, at least. I'm in the middle of a new house, so I was a little absent. But this is the market where you want to either, one, be super active and super sharp because you can make a lot more than the market is actually offering you, or this is the point in the market where you should completely let go for a year, where you feel like I have my bags, it's fine like this. I am having some weird ass gift that makes me able to not look at my portfolio for a year. If you can do that, like, wow. But that's also fine because then you will never make the mistakes like over trading, right? Because that's also what people are gonna do. And yeah, that can turn out to be a big mistake as well. So I want to leave it here right now. If you want to get like more of these calls like Joe, AVAX, yada, or a lot more interesting shit, join the Alpha Factory. There is a link in the pinned comment. We're kind of nailing it over there. And now the market is kind of finally showing us like, hey, we are going to work in your benefit. So let's see how this week plays out. I think that the altcoin market for now, to wrap it up, is showing strength, and that might continue. ETH will start outperforming a little bit. You see that ETH Bitcoin is having a nice bounce right here, also in the big support area. So maybe it's a little too soon to call still, but it wouldn't surprise me that either alt season has started or we are now getting one bounce, one last flush out, and then it starts. Nevertheless, we are still in a great place to buy. Not the best if you buy with dollars, but I don't think that it's getting much better, actually. So if you want to like the video, I appreciate that. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll be back tomorrow.